So, now we can do this again and try and get the last three. If you guys want, I think we could go for it. Let's try. It has been an hour, but let's do it. Let's do it. We're gonna do it. Or just skip through it all. And now we're gonna try and see Becky's, Lottie's, and Lavinia's. And we did do Becky in the beginning stages, but we're just gonna go through those again. Let's do it a new week. On Sunday morning, the students gathered in the entrance hall of Miss Minchin's Select Seminary. Girls, are you ready? Form up into a line behind Lavinia. Sarah dear, it is our custom to walk to and from church every Sunday when the weather permits. That allows the horses a day of rest and ensures that students receive regular exercise. It is important to look your best when we are walking out among the public. We want our school to always leave a good impression. You should follow Lavinia's cues. She will show you what to do. Lavinia is always a model student. As if hearing her name, Lavinia smiled and tilted her head. You could learn a great deal from Lavinia, dear. As her father is also posted to India, the two of you should have much in common. I'm sure you will make close friends. Now, go and stand in line behind her. Sarah made her way to the front of the line where Jessie and Lavinia stood close together. What are you doing? Go to the back. Miss Minchin told me to stand behind you. She said you were a model. Oh, very well then. But that's my place. You wouldn't want to disobey Miss Minchin, would you? No. We have to show our new girl how to behave herself in church. She may never have seen one before. Sarah thought it wisest to remain silent. Grace. Okay. 3 Grace. So we can do Lavinia's. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Sarah knocked upon the door. It is Sarah Crewe. May I come in? You may enter. Miss Minchin's model student was, this day, holding court in her rooms. It was a rather small court, consisting as it did of only one loyal follower, Jessie Abbott, but Lavinia's posture suggested no doubts about her right to rule. Hello, Lavinia. May I beg your pardon? Your pardon? That is not begging. Jessie tittered behind her hand. I'm sorry, I don't understand. No, it is evident that there are a great many things you do not understand. That is only to be expected, seeing that you have been raised in the savage outlands. However, here in England we observe manners. Sarah was perplexed. It was not her desire to be unmannerly, but she could not immediately perceive what breach she had committed. You are too forward, Miss Crewe. I have not invited you to use my Christian name. We have already been introduced. Knowing one's name is not sufficient reason to use it. A friend would call me Lavinia. You and I are not such friends. Oh, Lavy, she is very young. Children use names freely. It was clear to Sarah that Jessie intended to demonstrate her own superior rank of friendship, not merely Lavinia, but a pet name. Yeah. Unfortunately, the sad thing is, if you do Lavinia's route, Jessie's not very fun. She's not she's not terrible, but they had to make somebody kind of an asshole in Lavinia's route because Lavinia's the asshole. So they had to make Jessie not as likable, which is really sad. Because if you played Lavinia's first, you probably wouldn't like Jessie either. But Jessie's route is so good. It makes up for it. Jessie's route is so much better. Yeah. Jessie definitely has, I would say a codependency on Lavinia. It makes a lot more sense. She's in love with Lavinia. So, it makes sense. She's definitely going more through jealousy with Lavinia, there's no reason for her to be an asshole in most of the story. The only time she is not an asshole in a route is Mariette's, and maybe Lottie's, I can't remember. But I think she's still a bitch in Lottie's. But in Mariette, she's not the cause of the problems. Usually she's the one who causes the problems. She's the one that lets Miss Minchin know about the party. She's the one that, like, lets Miss Minchin know that her locket was stolen. And even in her own route, while she's not the one who gets Sarah in trouble with Miss Minchin at the end, she's still a bitch in her route. It's that tsundere that you have to, like, break through the cold ice, but, like, again, it's that, like, why was it even worth it? Why? But anyway, we're gonna see that. We're gonna see it, because we're gonna do all the routes. It was clear to Sarah that Jessie intended to demonstrate her own superior rank of friendship, not merely Lavinia, but a pet name. How funny that it should be called a pet name when it is Jessie who acts more as the pet to Lavinia. This is a school for young ladies. Even if she is young enough to be excused, she ought to practice. She will need all the polish that she can get. After all, Miss Minchin has set me to be her model. It is my responsibility to correct her mistakes. It is a silly game, these manners, but I do enjoy games. She curtsied then, if only slightly. I pray you will forgive me, Miss Herbert. I was too familiar. Lavinia waved a hand. You are forgiven, of course. Now, what did you wish to speak with me about? Miss Minchin said that your father was stationed in India. I was curious where you had lived, whether we might have seen the same. Now, Lavinia held up her hand again. I have no interest in discussing anything whatsoever to do with India. It is not a proper topic for polite conversation. Sarah frowned. From the odd look on Jessie's face, she too seemed to find this answer disappointing. Please understand, Miss Crewe, we are here in London under the shield of Her Majesty the Queen Victoria of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland, defender of the faith, Empress of India. Everything that matters in the world takes place within these miles. Trade within the city, government and parliament, and society within the palace. India is a distant hitherland, filthy and rife with disease. It is a jungle out there. Yes, there are jungles, but they are not any more filthy than London is. Nothing could be more filthy than London. A proper lady expresses interest in India only to imagine the thrill of being made to briefly visit such a wild and terrible terrain. You should be very glad that you have escaped it. The thrills are exciting. Hush! Lavinia rubbed one hand over the other, as if brushing away dirt. I hope I have made myself clear. We will not be discussing India here. However, I will be very pleased to aid you in learning the ways of the English, Miss Crewe. I'm certain that is what Miss Minchin had in mind when she directed you to me. That is very kind of you. Not at all. It is my duty, and every good English man or woman is keen to do his or her duty. Like my papa, the soldier. Yes, if you must. I still don't understand why she refuses to speak about India. Wasn't she born there? She must know how lovely it can be. Oh. To Lavinia we go. Damn, she has taken all my damn patience. Or grace? All my grace. I need that grace. Whatever. In her room, Lavinia was displaying her favorite framed print of Sarah's perusal. Oh, in her room, Lavinia was displaying her favorite framed print for Sarah's perusal. Even though it is only a print and not an original painting, I keep it on my wall to serve as my inspiration. Okay, I am back. Sorry, I went to the bathroom, and then I also wanted to order Taco Bell, so I did. I got Taco Bell. Back to the gays. She is the quintessential... I did, and I got you your 4 tacos. She is the quintessential English rose, you see. Not the daring and fashionable Gibson girl, but a more traditional beauty, delicate and fair. You see how white her skin is, with only the faintest touch of rose at her cheeks and lips, and her hair, that light ash brown, so unassuming and untouched by artifice. Do you see how she reclines, how she sighs, modest and tender as a petal? That is true beauty. Important question? You have l'important question? What is l'important question? Please tell me your important question. Give it to me, Nix. Do you see how she reclines, how she sighs, modest and tender as a petal? That is true beauty. You will never measure up to that standard, of course. Oh, but gonna check my Discord. Okay, no problem. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. Yeah, as long as, of course, I'm assuming you're gonna shout me out, but please, if you want to promote me on TikTok, I'm more than happy to. Thank you. Yeah. Good night. Also, have fun with your game and have fun lurking. I would be more than honored. You're very kind and sweet. Thank you. You will never. Okay. Do you see how she reclines? How she sighs, modest and tender as a petal? That is true beauty. You will never measure up to that standard, of course. I know. Neither will you. I'm not fair-haired or soft or rosy-cheeked, but your hair is as straight and black as mine, and your skin is darker. However, you could certainly make some improvements. Your clothing is so queer and old-fashioned. What makes the difference between old-fashioned and traditional? One is better than the other. That's not an answer. Where did you get such a wardrobe? What was your mother thinking? My mother is dead. Oh. Very little ever seemed to make Lavinia uncomfortable. This subject, however, shook her composure. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be... I didn't know. It's alright. I never knew her, so it doesn't make me sad. It's alright. I never knew her, so it doesn't make me sad. She died when I was born. Well, anyway, it's just not done to talk about the departed, and especially not to criticize them. That is a piece of English manners which you should learn. So, I ask that you forgive me for what I said. Of course I forgive you. I wonder if her mother is dead too, but if she says it's rude to talk about, she would probably be upset if I asked. Again, when you're on her route, you get that's like the first instant of that little smidgen of, maybe there's something in her that's not terrible. Just that tiny little smidgen, but... Ugh, Lavinia. If you like tsundere girls, then do I have good news for you. Lavinia is your girl. But if not, oh bye. Oh bye. In any case, I suppose that explains your clothes. Your poor father was left to outfit you all on his own. Men have no head for fashion. Perhaps you will develop your own style when you are older. What do you think, Miss Crew? Will you become a new woman? I do not know what a new woman is. Is there an old woman? What is the difference? I suppose every woman will become an old woman eventually, but every girl must become a new woman at some point first. How you do tie yourself in knots. If you aren't careful, you will become known as a blue stocking. Sarah looked down at her stockings, which were quite clearly white with blue embroidery. Lavinia sighed noisily. An overly intellectual woman. She turned back to regard her inspirational print. The ideal English lady is accomplished and well-read, but only enough to make polite conversation, not enough to be challenging. I think Lavinia will always be a challenge. Manners, accomplishments, and of course, a good fortune can go a long way to make up for a less than ideal appearance. Still, there will always be a benefit in looking one's best. That Lottie, with her little golden curls, is likely to become something of a beauty when she is older. If she ever ceases to be an irritatingly spoiled brat. I suppose none of us see ourselves as we see others. I am sure I have quite obvious flaws that I completely overlook. Is it alright, then, to call her Lottie and not Miss Lay? Oh, yes, she is a child. And really, it is tiresome being so formal all the time. We are all practically family here, aren't we? We live under the same roof. We share with each other like sisters. Therefore, you may call me Lavinia. Thank you, Lavinia. Oh, and you may call me Sarah. Lavinia nodded earnestly. Yes, that's just so. Failing to reciprocate would be impolite. If you want to show more enthusiasm, you can be more insistent. You must call me Sarah. However, too much enthusiasm seems clumsy, fawning. It cloys. I will remember that. She does put a good deal of thought into how a lady should behave, but if she must play a part, why not choose a more enjoyable one to play? That's a very good question, Sarah. I love the dresses of this time. These dresses are so cute, even though I'm pretty sure they're not actually the dress. I love the dresses in this game, and I want cute dresses like these. But I would have not have been a proper English woman. I was too gay. And too bullheaded. I would have, just probably would not have worked. Probably not a good idea. But either way, alright. I guess we get more Lavinia. Oh, I do want to get more Grace. But, let's see, we can get more of that next time. Sarah, might I come in? Of course. Lavinia walked through the door to Sarah's room, her hands primly clutching a notebook as an older woman might carry a handbag. I wish to speak with you on the subject of Monsieur Dufrage, the French master. You did not correct him when he said that you were French. Sarah blinked, not expecting questions in this direction. It seemed a very small thing to bring up again so suddenly. She tried to remember what had actually been said. I believe he meant it as a compliment. It would have been impolite to protest. Besides, I am every bit as much French as I am English. My mother was French. Lavinia cut her off at once. You are not your mother. That is, I am not saying anything against your mother, of course. But whether she was a grand Paris lady or a common merchant's daughter, that should not matter. She is not you. You are an English girl being given an English education. There is no need for you to be mocked as anything less. Marked? I don't feel marked, and I don't think that being French is anything less than being English. We are in England. Gentlemen wish good English girls. Anything other is, by definition, less. I don't think that's true, but I do think Lavinia believes it, or else that she thinks society believes it. It would be different if you were foreign nobility, though even that would be suspect in some circles. To succeed in society, you must be English to the core. Lavinia took a seat upon one of Sarah's comfortable chairs and looked around the little room with all its imported treasures. Oh god, that is giving really bad implications. Right now, because you are young and not expected to know the language so well, it makes you a novelty, a charming ornament, like your tiger skin rug. A well-bred English lady should speak at least a little French to show that she is cultured, but not to be French herself. What's that word I'm trying to think of? She's coming across as, hey! No problem. Yeah, I gotcha. Exciting. Okay, I can't wait to see it. You're so sweet. Yeah, unfortunately, this is one of the, even though I love this thing and I can't wait to post more of it, on YouTube it's also not gonna make any money if it ever does go far, just because it has copyrighted music. But that's fine. I just want people to experience this game as is, because it's a beautiful game, and I want more people to buy it. Ooh, okay. Do you mind if I check it out after the stream? Would that be okay? I would love to see it, and I would love to comment on it, but is it okay if I do it after the stream? I'm super excited to see it, though. You should also send it to Mabel so she can see it. All of a sudden, Lavinia gave a wicked smile, relaxing her A well-bred English lady should speak at least a little French to show that she's cultured, but not to be French herself. All of a sudden, Lavinia gave a wicked smile, relaxing her perfect posture. Did you know Miss Minchin can't speak French at all? Not even a little bit. What? Oh yes, I dare say she's just as hopeless as our Ermengarde, although she's desperate to hide it. What a flaw for the proprietor of a school for polishing young ladies. How do you know? My French is not anywhere near as good as yours, but I can put a few sentences together. I have said certain things in her hearing, and she has shown no reaction. Lavinia insulted Miss Minchin in French? No, surely she wouldn't dare, not when she's so concerned with being proper. You should have seen her face when you began speaking so fluently to Monsieur Dufrage. Miss Minchin started in her chair as if she had been jabbed with pins. I do not mean to jab her with pins. She'll never admit that she resents you, of course. That would be far too ill-bred. I did not wish for her to resent me. I did not wish to make an enemy of anyone. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm super excited. Thank you for doing this, Nyx. You've been awesome. You can't be friends with everyone, Sarah, especially not with those who are beneath you. They will always resent you for what you have, and they do not. You can't be friends with anyone, Sarah. You only have a certain amount of time to befriend a couple girls, so you have to choose wisely. Me, you have to pick me this route, okay? It's me. I'm gonna be in this route. That's what you've decided. Nobody else. Everybody else sucks. I'm best girl. Best girl! Miss Minchin will always praise us in all our endeavors, because we are young ladies from good families, and she benefits from our wealth. It doesn't mean that she cares for us. I think that is a very lonely way of seeing the world. Lavinia shook her head slowly, with a smile that was decidedly smug about her greater experience of society. That is how things are. She leaned forward in her seat, lowering her voice. You should be careful with Monsieur Dufrage as well. He seems very fond of you, but if an unrelated man takes too much of an interest in a young girl, it might look inappropriate. Do not be alone with him. You should always have a chaperone, to protect your virtue. Satisfied, she returned to an upright posture. You understand why I'm telling you all these things, don't you, Sarah? I am your role model, and you are my responsibility. I want to help you be happy and successful in your life as an Englishwoman. Okay, yeah, heck yeah, go live. No, absolutely, go live. Have fun with Halo. I'll see if I can hop in before the end. Hopefully, when I'm done with this, you'll still be streaming, so I can hop in and say hello. But heck yeah, enjoy that Halo. Shoot up some baddies. Do the thing. Do the guns. You got this. I know Halo. I'm gamer. We are two of a kind, you and I. Once you have settled in, I think we will be very good friends. Sarah smiled, but her heart was not in it. All right, sounds good. I do not wish to be a successful Englishwoman. I wish to return home to my papa. Even when Lavinia is trying to be friendly, I'm not certain that I like her. Same, Sarah. Yeah, very much same. She's not exactly great, even when she's trying to be kind. 5 patience. I don't have enough patience. But, maybe I could get patience. Let's go back to Lavinia. Here, Tybalt, come to me. Come here. The cat eyed her from across the room, but made no move to approach. You can't call a cat as if he were a particularly stupid child. It's beneath his dignity. He will come when he wishes, or not at all. The other girl hissed and continued to beckon. You're just a sweet kitty, aren't you? Here, Tybalt, come here. He isn't listening to you. He is. I saw his ear twitch when I said his name. Maybe I'm too high up. Cats pay more attention to things on their level, don't they? Do you wish to be on the same level as a pet? Sarah entered the room to find Jessie kneeling on the floor, cooing and curling her fingers in Tybalt's direction. His eyes tracked her motions, but he came no closer. What are you doing? Jessie is attempting to demonstrate her skill with animals. Jessie climbed to her feet and shook out her hair. I know I'm not as good with Tybalt as you are, Lavi, but I am trying. If you had a cat in the future, I would want to be sure that she liked me. Why she? Why not? I mean, there isn't an actual cat yet, so one is the same as the other, isn't it? You might like to have a she-cat. She-cats mean kittens, and that can be a problem. Oh, but kittens are darling. Not when you don't know what to do with them all. In the countryside, they sweep extra kittens up into sacks and drown them. Drown them? You wouldn't. I would certainly rather not, which is an argument against she-cats. Well, perhaps not every cat wants to have kittens. Nature takes its course. In the midst of this discussion, as if finding the subject distasteful, Tybalt rose and softly padded out of the room. Oh, there he goes. Well then, there's your chance. Let's see if you can coax him to come back without picking him up and carrying him. Jessie nodded, accepting the challenge, and tiptoed away after the cat, murmuring endearments. Lavinia made a show of looking incredibly bored by the proceedings before turning her attention to Sarah. I wonder, are there cats in India? Sarah was startled. It was the first time Lavinia had willingly raised the subject of India. Perhaps that is why she sent Jessie away, so that we would not be heard. You do not remember, then? I was very young when I came to England. I do not remember anything at all. This is my home. Most parents want to keep their children near them as long as is possible. I would have stayed forever if I could. Why was Lavinia sent away? Well, there are the tigers, of course, but people can't keep those. Of course not. They are far too proud to be tamed. There are hunting leopards, which great Rajas keep. Papa said they are used to chase gazelles, like the Englishmen use stagehounds to hunt deer. But they have to trap the wild leopards first. The leopards never have kittens when they live with humans. I don't know why. That would solve some problems. I might like to have my own hunting cat. She rubbed her hands together with an expression of wicked pleasure that made Sarah feel herself in sympathy to the gazelles. All of a sudden, Lavinia frowned. Of course, I am nothing like that word. What about smaller cats, then? Well, I couldn't say about everyone. India is a very large place. But my ayah said that cats in the house are unlucky and sly. People don't want them. Superstitious nonsense. Serves them right if they are overrun by snakes and mice. It isn't overrun. Sarah, I am certain that your father kept a clean and well-ordered house. Of course you were not overrun with pests. You were pampered and protected, as you should be. That does not mean the rest of India is not a festering swamp. The native people's lives are not like yours. She tossed her hair. Thank you for your time. I'm going to find Jessie now. All right. Sarah watched her go, a tiny frown lingering in her absence. Lavinia understands that not everyone is so lucky as to be born into a life like hers or mine, but she just doesn't care? Yeah, not really. Stuck 'em up. And now I have time to get sympathy for Lottie. Watty. Sarah, might I come in? I hope that I'm sounding different from Jessie. I tried to do more of a light, like British with Jessie, and with Lavinia, it's more pompous and more, oh, look at me, I'm a bitch. Of course, I must be rude to her, even if she is often rude to others. When Lavinia walked through the door, Sarah's eyes lit with interest. Lavinia was carrying a book. I have a gift for you. Oh, you are very kind. Thank you. I never expected Lavinia to bring me a present, and for no reason I can think of. It was a slim volume bound in pale green paper, its cover decorated with patterns of branches and leaves. Middlemarch, Book 1, Miss Brooke, by George Eliot. It contains excellent information about provincial life in England. I think you will find it most edifying. The author, as well, serves as an example. She chose to publish under a male name to avoid the expectations people would have of her as a woman author. Oh, sometimes I feel that expectations are all that Lavinia ever thinks about. It is not precisely a book intended for young women who have not completed their studies. Ordinary young women. But neither you nor I are precisely an ordinary. Hey, welcome back. We're doing good. We're still doing the story. We're just going through all the routes now, getting all the girls. How are you? Lavinia gave a conspiratorial smile, as if to invite Sarah into a secret sisterhood of women, each of whom knew that they were better than all the others. I believe that we are cultured and intelligent enough to appreciate proper literature. I thought you said that a proper English girl should not be too intelligent. Oh, babe, my food was dropped off. Could you go grab it? Would that be okay? Meow. Thank you. I'm sorry you couldn't sleep. I hope listening to this will be at least comforting. I get that feeling. I was having trouble. I slept too much today, so I'm having a little more trouble feeling tired, but I know I have to go to sleep because I have to wake up early, because I have to go back to work, and I got to push myself to go back to work. Thank you. If you want to grab your food, you can. Okay. I said that it is frowned on to be... I thought you said that a proper English girl should not be too intelligent. I said that it is frowned on to be overly intellectual. That's not the same thing. Being intelligent is how you think and what you know. Being intellectual is what you do with it. Lecturing others on what they should and should not do would not be socially appropriate. Sarah's lips quirked as she fought the urge to laugh. Lecturing others appeared to be one of Lavinia's favorite pastimes. Oh man, I don't know if Mabel can hear this, but this is good. But to be intelligent and well-read within your own circles, in order to have more interesting conversations with other ladies, that is desirable. That French maid of yours, Mariette, you would not wish her to be dull, would you? No. She understands that companionship is part of her position. She will learn from you how to be the companion that you want, to help find things that you enjoy, and to talk about them with you. Your friends can do the same. Lavinia clasped Sarah's hands, just as if they were already the dearest of friends. I hope you enjoy the book. Once you have read it, we can talk about it together. And I can tell you the most delicious gossip about the lady who was George Eliot. Won't Jessie be jealous? Oh, Jessie, she has no use for books. She will not care. Her family is not the best, you know, and you are far cleverer than she. Even Jessie would admit that. Jessie likes you very much. Jessie is my best friend and always will be, but you and I share things that she never could. Don't you see? I did look at the game Gotcha Club. It looked really cute. I also gave a listen to that song. It was really good. But yeah, I definitely looked at the little gotcha game. It looked really cute. I didn't play it. I should probably eventually play it and give it a try. But I saw it and I was like, oh, this is really cute. I could create a little avatar and everything. But you and I share things that she never could. Don't you see? It is not a choice of one or the other. When a lady enters society, she needs all the allies, friends that she can get. Lady, you don't... Your friends are not your allies in that sense. Oh, yay! I will definitely give it a shot. I wonder if I can ever stream. I know you can stream from your phone. So maybe in the future I could stream some games from my phone. But I have to figure out how to do that. Lavinia is being her weird Lavinia self. I don't know if you saw, but... Oh no! There was a really good line that Sarah said to her.
What'd you say?
I can actually go back, because I could...
I'll look at it later.
Okay. But she's basically being like, you need all the allies, friends you can get. Like, less of a, like... I do not wish to enter society. I want to return to India and my papa. Lavinia cannot understand that. As if sensing Sarah's hesitation, Lavinia's gaze suddenly softened. Please, Sarah, there are so few people that I can talk to, truly talk to, about matters of importance. Matters of import. So few who would understand. I have listened to your stories. Will you not share mine? Lavinia may not have much of an imagination, but she is more intelligent and well-read than she usually lets on. Of course I will read your book. I hope we will share many more in the future. You are a darling. Lavinia leaned towards Sarah as if to kiss her cheek. In mid-motion, however, her mouth came open, catching in a little gasp of air, and she diverted her course, pulling away. I should not be so familiar. I will see you later, Sarah Crew. Good day. She exited, leaving Sarah to admire her new treasure. Okay. Let's go. Lavinia, might I come in? Of course. I'm glad you have come. Did you read my book? Yes? At Lavinia's inviting hand wave, Sarah took a seat. A great many people in this story have very strong opinions about what a woman should and shouldn't do. It is always so. And it seems that the women are mostly thinking about whom they will marry and how that will affect their lives. That is a woman's lot. Oh, what's the book? It does not seem very interesting. Lavinia frowned, and Sarah hastily corrected herself. That sort of life, I mean, not the book. I liked Dorothea, Miss Brooke. She was clever and kind and wished to be useful and help others. She has made a foolish decision in marrying Casaubon. Everyone keeps saying that, but I don't entirely understand why. He is a good and intelligent man, and he teaches her Greek and accepts her help with his research. He is too old for her, and does not appreciate her as a whole person. He is not as good as he seems. You will see more in the later volumes, if you are willing to read them. Oh yes, I'm happy to keep reading with you, and it was interesting seeing the way that estates and villages are organized. The Orphan of Ellis Island. I feel like I've heard that book. I'll have to look that one up. I don't know if I'll be able to read it, but I will get that one. I'll look that one up. I feel like I've heard about it. Maybe? I don't know. But it sounds like a good book. What's it about? Oh yes, I'm happy to keep reading with you, and it was interesting seeing the way that estates and villages are organized. Oh. Did my thing poop out? There we go. I'm glad. Oh, I'm sorry I'm being a poor hostess. Please, sit a moment. I will call someone to fetch tea for us. She hurried from the room, leaving an uncertain Sarah in place. I can't leave now. That would be unkind. She looked up at the inspirational print that Lavinia had shown her before, of the beautiful girl who represented the English rose. I can never tell, with Lavinia, whether this is what she wants with her whole heart, or only what she thinks others want her to be. I don't understand her. We are not truly friends. Not yet. In a few moments, Lavinia returned to the room. She did not bring tea herself, of course. That task would be left for a servant to complete. I have been thinking about the museum that we attended. It was a very unusual trip. I've never seen anything like that in India. I should hope not. She took her seat, smoothing her skirt neatly over her legs. Giant bones, the remains of monsters long dead. Do they frighten you, Sarah? No, not exactly. They are only bones, not monsters themselves. I know that they can't harm me. The bones of a person would be much more frightening. They might carry a curse. Lavinia's shoulders rose as she shuddered. Ugh! To put a person's naked bones on display would be unspeakably vulgar. I have heard that they sometimes unwrap mummies from old Egypt at university lectures and gawk at the dead. It's simply disgusting, not something that any lady would ever attend. Sarah could imagine the scene. The fascinated gentleman, the reluctant sarcophagus forced open, the hiss of long-dead beetles suddenly stirring, the blackened form rising to seek vengeance. Even the story in her mind did not seem at all suitable for sharing with the young ladies. Ooh, a time-traveling adventure. That sounds really awesome. That actually sounds really cool. Bone itself is a curious substance when it is no longer part of a skeletal shape. It has a strange beauty all its own. It represents both life and death. It provides strength, but it is itself fragile. Especially the bones of birds. How delicate they must be to retain the freedom to fly. They give the bird a power we can never have, but they would snap in your hand. I hope she has never snapped a bird's bones. You need much larger bones to start with if you wish to use them for carving. Imagine, an ox, so heavy and ugly in life, can become something beautiful after death and last far into the future. I think there must be a better way to leave a lasting memorial. For a memorial, of course, a bone-handed knife may be sharp and lovely, but it says nothing of the life it once held. It is the artist that it speaks of. Miss Minchin would never teach us to pick up a knife, even in the service of a fashionable lady's pastime. But perhaps in the future I will try my hand at carving. I think I would rather not see Lavinia wielding a knife either. There was a tap at the door. Ah, that must be our tea. I expect it will be served on bone china. Had Sarah's father invested in any other business ventures, it would have held little attraction for the rest of the students. Diamond mines, however, captured the imagination, and the girls could not stop whispering. They knew little about the details of mining in faraway lands, but fairy tales they understood, especially with the tellers such as Sarah among them. "Tell me that part about the dogs again, Sarah, Mama." Deep underground, beyond the passage with the lamps, there were 4 doorways, and each led to a different kind of treasure: copper, silver, gold, and diamond. The first was the room of copper. Copper lanterns hung from the ceilings, and copper pots lined the walls, and over the floor was spread a blanket of copper coins. But the guardian of this room was a dog with copper eyes as big as saucers, and a mouth full of rough-edged copper teeth. Not everyone was quite so caught up in wonder. "It's a silly fancy like everything else," Sarah says. "I don't believe such things as diamond mines actually exist." "Well, people have to get them from somewhere. Of course they find diamonds in the earth, but one at a time, surely, not whole mines filled with diamonds. Do you know what a diamond ring cost? Not even a big one. If there were mines full of diamonds, people would be so rich it would be ridiculous." "Perhaps Sarah will be so rich that she will be ridiculous." "She's ridiculous enough already." "Lavinia, do you hate her?" "No, I do not, but I don't believe her." Conversation died as Miss Minchin walked into the main hall. Girls, gather around, please. I have an announcement to make. We have some very exciting news regarding a parent of one of our pupils. Starting from the day, Sarah Crew will be leading the procession whenever we leave the school grounds. You will look to her as your example." Lavinia could only stare, her mouth agape, her eyes not quite as big as saucers. "Looks like Miss Minchin believes in the diamond mines." How dare she?" Lavinia clenched her fist against the fabric of her dress and forced a tight smile onto her face. She walked up to take her new place in line. "It appears that I will now be walking behind you, Sarah." "Oh, it wasn't my idea." "Wasn't it, though?" She said nothing more. "Hey, we've completed Lottie's, so now we'll complete Lavinia's, and we should then be able to do Becky's, so we'll get them all done." When Sarah finally spotted Lavinia's dark hair, the older girl was almost out of the door. Lavinia! Miss Crew? I've been hoping to speak with you, to be sure everything was all right. I am fine. I am very busy. Would you like to talk more about the book? No. She spun on her heel to exit, then, more slowly, turned around to face Sarah again. Now that your father has found his mines, will you be decking yourself out in diamonds? What? Well, I don't have any plans for them, and I haven't asked for any. But I suppose that if my papa sent me a present, a little necklace or pin, then I would wear it. Diamonds at your age would be horribly vulgar. Again she swiveled, and then turned back. And you can buy your own books. At last she made a conclusive exit. Lavinia strode through the halls, Tybalt clasped to her bosom, crooning little songs to him, and paying no attention to any fur that might be shed onto her dress. She's been carrying that cat around all day. Gossiping about your betters, Ermengarde. You had better be careful. Bad little birds who squawk and squeal get gobbled up whole. Lavinia threw her head back and laughed. Tybalt stirred in her grasp, yowling faintly. Shh, my prince. Yes, you are a good kitty. Shh. No. It's there's some strategy, but it's on the lighter side of strategy. Like, usually you can get 2 people done. 2 to 3 people, but they usually tell you to focus on, like, only 2 characters at most. Maybe 3 if you can get it. You can't focus on everyone because if you have to finish somebody's arc in order to get to the, Act 2. So there's an Act 1 and there's an Act 2. We're currently still in Act 1, but we're getting close to Act 2. But in order to see certain characters in Act 2 who only will show up, you have to get them finished in Act 1. Yeah. But it's a lot more lighter than some other games that have a heavier, like, if you don't do this right, you F up. Like, you have a lot more. This one's, like, very forgiving and very easy to get the pass that you need. Yeah. No character, if you don't get a character in Act 2, you don't see them. Not misleading. What's the word I'm looking for? It's just like some games, like, you have to, like, Princess Maker or Long Live the Queen, depending on your certain actions and what you focus on. Those, huh? Lenient. There we go. It's a lot more lenient because you're not focusing on things and there's no, like, penalties. Shh, my prince. Yes, you are a good kitty. Shh. That's what cats do, you know. They eat the weak. The sound of her humming marked her passage as she moved out of sight. I think she set that cat on the birds on purpose. I'm sure she wouldn't do that. You heard what she said. She was laughing at me. That doesn't mean that she... No, I won't believe it. She said what she said to taunt you, and that was very unkind of her, but she isn't a wicked person. Not really. It would be wrong to accuse her of something so dreadful. You are too charitable. Lavinia is horrid. I know. You're always kind, and I'm glad that you are, but she doesn't deserve it. It isn't so much about what she deserves. Kindness isn't something you should have to earn. A princess should always be kind, whether it's to a noble, or a peasant, or a witch. Sometimes, being kind to a wicked witch is the only way to break her spell, or to make a friend. I wish Lavinia would be kinder to others. So do I. The sound of angry voices drew Sarah into the hall. You've been touching my things, haven't you? No, miss, I hadn't. Didn't you clean my rooms? Yes, miss. Then you touched my belongings, didn't you? No, please your pardon, miss, I didn't. Let her be. Sarah found herself quite cross with Lavinia. Lavinia's moods had been mercurial for some time, but to take them out on Becky, who could not defend herself, it was too much. Of course she's been in your rooms to clean them, and she may have moved something to dust it. That's not doing anything wrong, and you've no reason to scold her. No reason? No reason? If she moves my books so that I cannot find them, and knocks items off my tables, and puts her filthy fingers on my underclothes? That's so true, Eleanor. Thank you. She's kind of got like, she kind of has that the bangs that have been classified as turf bangs. I feel like I've seen bangs like that, and when they're like that, they're like turf bangs. Oh no, she would call so many people in here. We're gonna do her route eventually. She's Lavinia is a time. Well, there's like, I don't know, there's like certain people who happen to be like turfs, and they have some of the same hairstyle, and it's just the type of bangs that look like that, where it's like weirdly segmented like hers are, and they're like really short up like right high on their head. Like that, like those kind of bangs specifically that Lavinia have. Apparently a lot of like turfs have those those kind of bangs, so people have called that like turf hairstyle. Yeah, I don't have any bangs. I wanted bangs, but I didn't have any. But yeah, Lavinia is a time. She is the quote-unquote tsundere of the story, and my opinion about tsundere characters are always, they're such a mixed bag. I typically don't like them. Sometimes they can be really fun and entertaining, but usually I don't like the, like, you have to get through a lot of their shit to see the good side. And it's like, why did I have to go through all this? Why did my character have to go through all this so I can find out later down the line there's something to you? Like, why did I have to stop? It doesn't make up for all the shit that you put me through. Yeah, you can swear. This is a safe space, and this is a like mature channel, so we do swearing here. So, yeah. You can swear if you want to. Yeah. The one thing I say is, because this is a mature channel, the one thing I'm gonna put it as a rule is just no age talk. So that way it's to protect me and to protect you guys. So because this is set for things, we just don't want anyone to bring up their ages and stuff, because that can cause problems. But swearing is fine. You guys are perfectly fine. Fair. I'm sorry. I like bangs. He sounds like an unfun. No, don't say sorry. That's fine. And again, as long as you're not like, as long as you're not using slurs are not okay. I will give warnings, but I don't think any of you guys would ever use a slur. And not like excessive swearing that like every word is a swear, you know? But it's okay. You can call Lavinia a bitch. I say it. She's a bitch. So, yeah, that's fine. The impertinence of it! As if she had any right to handle a young lady's possessions. Please, miss, I'm sorry. But Lavinia's eyes were on Sarah now. Perhaps you're the reason she can't keep her hands to herself. Don't think I haven't noticed. Noticed what? That girl spending extra time in your rooms? What have you been teaching her in there, hidden away? Telling stories again? What would Miss Minchin think of that? Is something queer going on between the two of you? Quick, Becky, run! You don't, yeah, and don't worry. I swear sometimes, but I don't excessively swear. I don't like to overly swear as much. So if you don't feel comfortable swearing, you don't have to swear. I'm just, yeah, it's fine to swear here, but you don't have to if you don't want to. Yeah. I have given Becky extra duties. It wasn't entirely a falsehood, Sarah told herself. She had requested that Becky stay and speak with her, and a request from a student was something like a duty for a servant. If you told Miss Minchin, she would wonder why you were interfering. You already have a personal maid. Is every servant in the school meant to be at your beck and call? There are many things I need done, and it is none of your concern. You think you're very special, don't you? You might have a surprise coming for you yet. Lavinia whirled about, passing through the door to her room and slamming it behind her with much force. Oh, miss, I didn't mean to cause... You didn't cause anything, Becky. Whatever's wrong with Lavinia, it isn't your fault. Where is that girl? Where is she? Lavinia, what are you doing? Where is your little pet, Sarah? Look what she's done now. Lavinia held up a pair of shredded stockings. Ruined! Completely ruined! And she did it out of spite. Where is that girl? She ought to be whipped. I'll have her. You will not. What did you say? You've been letting Tybalt sleep in your rooms. He got at your stockings, not Becky. That's claw-marked. And you can't blame him either, because he's just a cat, and that's what cats do. You stupid, fat-faced fool! Girls! Lavinia's enraged tones had attracted extra attention. Lavinia, I am surprised at you, shrieking and carrying on like a fishwife. What a way to behave. You ought to follow Sarah's example. Sarah is always a model student. You can learn a great deal from her. Lavinia's head jerked as if she had been struck a blow. The ruined stockings drifted, forgotten, from her numb hands. Yes, Miss Minchin. As little Lottie walked past this classroom, which should by any rights be empty at such a time, she heard a most curious sound. Eh? The noise was faint enough that most ears might have overlooked it, but even in its quietness, it was a sound with which Lottie was intimately familiar. It was the sound of a girl crying. I have not watched Queer Eye. I have heard about it. I know it is good. Sadly, I have not watched it. I tend to mainly watch cartoons. And anything that is more like a, I guess, reality show, but not, is cooking. Yeah, I hear it's a really good show. And so it was that Lottie, who had never before been known for her sympathy, padded into the classroom and found, seated on the floor with her arms hugging her knees and her eyes streaming with tears, Lavinia Herbert. What's the matter? Go away! Lottie herself enjoyed being fussed over far too much to imagine that anyone else might truly mean it when she demanded to be left alone. Lottie came closer and laid her plump little hand on Lavinia's shoulder, petting the older girl as teachers had petted her. There. Don't touch me! She lashed out, arm and elbow striking the smaller child full force and knocking her away. Ah! Caught off balance, Lottie twisted and fell hard upon her knee, skidding slightly on the floor as she landed. Lavinia's tears had been quiet. Lottie's were anything but. Sarah was, at that time, in another room entirely, curled up in a window seat and enjoying a recently acquired book. Between one word and another, her concentration was disrupted by the sound of distant howling. For all the stories she told of heaven, Sarah would be the first to admit that she herself was not an angel. She felt obligated to leave her book and look after her adopted child, but she was not pleased about it. Yeah. Thus, when she stomped into the classroom and found Lottie on the ground nursing her reddened knee and Lavinia standing over her, Sarah felt herself quite snappish and unreasonable. Stop this minute, you crybaby! Stop this minute! I'm not a crybaby! I'm not! You are! You nasty little spoiled thing! I should like to slap you! Sarah! Sarah whirled on Lavinia, who appeared to be the root cause of the disruption of her reading, and whose face was now quite dry. "Well, I should like to slap you!" Immediately ashamed, she struggled to restrain herself. "But I don't want to slap you." "No, I do want to slap you. I should like to slap you, but I won't, because we are not little gutter children. We are both old enough to know better." "Ah, yes, your Royal Highness. We are princesses, I believe. At least one of us is." It stung. It stung more bitterly than either of them could have expected. For Sarah to hear her beloved fancy mocked in such a tone, she felt the blood rush up into her face and tingle in her ears. But she stopped herself. A princess did not fly into rages. "It's true. Sometimes I do pretend I am a princess. I pretend I am a princess so that I can try and behave like one." "Dear me, how grand! I hope, when you ascend the throne, that you won't forget us." "I won't." "You think you're the only one who's special. You're wrong. Just you wait, Sarah Crew. You'll see." Lavinia left the room, her neck stiff, her head held high. "Sarah, Mama, she..." "Hush, hush, Lottie. It's all right. Never mind. Come and sit in the window seat with me, and I'll whisper a story to you." "Will you? Will you tell me about the diamond mines again?" "Of course." Alright, let's get to the everything is fine. Everyone is having a good party. It is Sarah's birthday. Nothing bad will happen. Very good day. Everything is fine. Everything is wonderful. Look at how happy they are. Look at these happy girls. Everything is great. Oh no, what is happening? Music has changed. Things are bad. Oh no, her father is dead. Uh-oh, goodbye. Okay, we did Lottie's route yesterday. We had a lot of problems with the stream. So now we're doing Lavinia's route, which is the Cindere route. Or, in this case, it's the bitch route. Lavinia is, well, you'll see. You'll see. You'll meet Lavinia. Let's go. It was difficult for Sarah, when walking through the halls of Miss Minchin's, to meet the eyes of girls who had, until recently, been her friends and companions. Neither she nor they knew how to react. Less painful, then, to keep her eyes downcast. If she did not see their faces, then she would not have to see them turn and look away. Besides, looking at the floor could be quite interesting. Tiled floors had a relaxing sort of beauty, in the way that colors looped and repeated as you went along, while each swirl in a wooden floor was unique. And if sometimes the floor contained pebbles, or spider webs, or little clumps of horse-scented London mud, that was also something useful for Sarah to see, so that she could clean them. She was no longer a guest in these halls, but a servant. And so, as Sarah walked quietly with her eyes fixed upon the floors, she did not see Lavinia coming. "You!" The weight of Sarah's burdens were such that she had no energy to be startled by this occurrence. Her head raised, slowly but surely, her eyes fixed upon Lavinia's flushed cheeks. What does she have to be so upset about? "Get out of my way, you horrible little rat!" "I am not a rat, and I am not in your way. There is plenty of room for you to walk around me, or me to walk around you." "Don't you dare come near me! Do you know what you almost did? You could have ruined my family." "What?" "I trusted you. I listened to you. You're a curse. Everything you touch is ruined." That can't be." "Why are you even still here? Get out of my sight!" "It isn't my sight. It isn't my fault. It can't be my fault." Confused and adrift, Sarah reached out her hand to the girl who had once been, if not her friend, then at least her guide in the world of Miss Minchin's society. Lavinia recoiled, just as horrified as if a toothless beggar on the London streets had made a grab for the hem of her skirt. "Stay away!" With that, she ran past Sarah, keeping a safe distance, and disappeared into her room. "I didn't do anything. It wasn't me. It can't have been me." She put her hand against the wall for support, then snatched it away, as if her hand, like a mummy's rotted claw, might despoil the purity of the surface. "My papa is dead. My mama is dead. Maybe I am cursed. Maybe it was my fault." There was nothing to be done. There was nothing she could do. Sarah walked along the hallway with her head hanging low and saw no one. Yeah, I'm gonna just start at the beginning because we only got through the very first scene, with her, so. I have not watched Squid Game. I've seen it trending on Tumblr, but I have not watched any Squid Game, so I don't have an opinion on it. I've been mainly watching cartoons. Hello, Alex, and hello, Devin. Okay, it is save. Again, I hope this will be alright. I hope it won't be too confusing. I apologize again that I'm not going through the story. I highly recommend this story, and again, not to be like, hey, check out more of my stuff, but if you ever do want to see the full story, I do have the YouTube channel. The first 3 episodes go into all the details of everything, so I hope it's okay that I'm just kind of glossing over this part right now. But thank you so much for attending, and thank you guys again so much for the raid. I don't know if Poe is still in chat, but thank you, Poe, so much for the raid. It's been an honor, and I'm so excited to stream for you guys. Yeah. I've heard good things about it. I have definitely heard good things about it, but I am just not, I don't think I'm interested in it necessarily. Alright, we're gonna do Lavinia. My hope is that we will finish Lavinia today, and then we will end with Becky today, and we will get both of their routes done. And then this game will officially have been completely played through and streamed on my channel. So, that's the hope. Sarah rubbed her hands as she walked, trying to massage away the marks that had been left by carrying something heavy and uncomfortable for too long. With her eyes downcast, she did not notice who, precisely, was nearby until she heard a voice call out, "Sarah? Lavinia?" "Miss Herbert." The rebuke was swift, but just as quickly the frown of distaste smoothed and stilled. It was a face such as Lavinia had shown when Sarah first met her, one with a haughty lift to the nose and a wicked curl to the lips. It was not a friendly face, but neither was it the face of horror and fury she had displayed upon their previous encounter. Instead, she reminded Sarah of nothing so much as Miss Minchin herself, a comparison which was heightened when she grew a decidedly false smile. "Poor Sarah, events have not been kind to you, have they? Answer me when I speak to you." "I have met with misfortune." It seemed too obvious to need stating, but Lavinia's temper could not be trusted. "You poor thing, to have had so much and have it all taken away. It must have been a terrible shock." "Of course it was." "It was a shock for us as well, you know. I was caught quite by surprise. You must forgive me for my words the other week. They were uncalled for. Of course you were not to blame. You will forgive me, won't you?" "If you are sorry, then I forgive you." Inside, her little heart burned, but if Lavinia recognized any insincerity in Sarah's words, she did not respond to it. "Good, good. So, Sarah, where are you sleeping these days? I noticed that your room, your old room, has been given to a new boarder." "I sleep in the attic." "How quaint! Do you still have your lovely bed, and cushions, and your tiger skin rug?" "No, all of my things are gone. Miss Minchin took them. Oh dear, and your clothing? You do seem to have been wearing that same scrap of a dress for quite some time now. Of course, you are in mourning, but mourning clothes should still be fitted. Miss Minchin took my clothes as well. Lavinia tapped her fingers against her cheek. Simply dreadful. And of course, your maid Mariette has also left us. Do you truly have nothing left then? Not one jot or title of all your precious past? Her eyes glittered like candles in the depths of a cave. Emily is all I have left. Emily? Oh, yes, your doll. Your first doll. Not the one that... Well, at least you have that comfort. I wish you would stop talking. You are not my friend, and you are not making me feel any better. Well, you were a diligent servant and a clever girl. I'm sure you will adapt to your new circumstances. You understand, of course, that we cannot be friends or even acquaintances any longer. Your station has fallen too far. It would be unseemly. I understand. You were never my friend. You were saying these things to bait me. And it is cruel. Oh, there's a glitch? Is anyone else having?
I'm good.
Mabel says she's good. Is anyone else having problems? I know there's a bit of a lag. Is it okay? I noticed there was a bit of buffering. But, okay. Maybe refresh and see if that helps it. Okay. If there's a bit of a lag, but it's still going, then that's okay. Sometimes it just... My internet's not always going to be the best, always. So there might be a bit of buffering and lag, but it should be okay. But if it's, like, to the point that you're losing chunks and segments of me, then let me know. Or if scenes are literally, like, not showing up, or if I'm freezing for a very long time. Okay. Alright. Perfect. You were never my friend. You were saying these things to bait me, and it is cruel. I shan't keep you any longer. I am sure you have much work to do. Yes, I do. Goodbye. There was no use in arguing with Lavinia, or chafing at her rudeness. She would do as she chose, and nothing Sarah said could affect it. All she could do was agree, and leave as quickly as possible. She did not see how Lavinia's eyes followed her as she walked away, nor how the soft, pampered lips stretched in a hungry smile. Yeah, Lavinia, she's not very great. She kind of sucks. Alright. Sarah faced Lavinia's door with a sense of trepidation. She had walked already from room to room along this hallway, gathering more items of clothing to weigh down the basket of laundry that she carried. Lavinia's room she had bypassed as long as possible. If only she would leave. She would go out for a walk, and I could enter her room and fetch her things, and there would be no trouble. It was no use. Lavinia was firmly ensconced, and knocking was necessary. The basket would not grow any lighter for waiting. Sarah tapped on the door and waited. Jessie, is that you? No, Miss Herbert. It's Sarah. I've come for your washing. Come in. Sarah shifted the basket so that she could reach the door. Inside, Lavinia was seated at her desk, a novel held open in her hand. She did not turn to look at Sarah as she entered. I'm sure you could find things without my aid. Yes, miss. She walked around the room, determined to be as quick as possible, but Lavinia's discarded clothing had apparently found its way into the most inconvenient locations. What is a gown doing all the way under the bed? She would never crawl into such a place herself. An ostentatious rustling sound drew Sarah's attention back to the desk where the room's occupant sat. On the surface of the desk sat an open box in two parts. The top piece was decorated with a picture of a young girl dressed in frills, holding a kitten to her cheek. The interior was packed with tissue paper. It was this that had rustled, and something else. Chocolates. It was a box of chocolates, each one dark and rich and doubtless decadently delicious. Some milk, some fondant, some nut. Sarah's mouth watered even at this brief glance. Chocolates. Lavinia turned her head and smiled lazily. Oh yes, I bought a box of chocolates when I was out in the town. I was planning on sharing some with Jessie, but she hasn't stopped by. Are you hungry, Sarah? Sarah did not answer. She lowered her eyes. I asked you a question. Are you hungry? Yes. Would you like a chocolate? Yes. Now she will laugh and say that I cannot have one. It is cruel to taunt me so. Why is she doing this? Of course, they are very expensive, and you have no money with which to pay for them. I have heard that in English society it was considered vulgar to discuss matters of money. Lavinia's eyes narrowed, and her book hit the desk with a thump. This is not society. Of course, you do have one item of some value left, don't you? We could make a trade. Give me your doll, Emily, and I will give you a chocolate. Sarah's pulse clattered dizzyingly inside her. What was Lavinia thinking? No. Don't you want a chocolate? Emily is worth more to me than chocolates. I suppose a single chocolate is not a fair trade. Give me your doll, and I will give you the whole box. No. Why not? You said you were hungry. Were you lying to me? I am hungry, but I will not trade you, Emily. A stupid doll is more important to you than food? Without warning, Lavinia grabbed the box of chocolates and hurled it into the fireplace, scattering the chocolates among the ashes. Oops. Oh well, I can always buy another. Do that, then. Lavinia rose from her seat, air hissing from her nostrils. You are a fool, Sarah Crewe. You have no idea what is valuable in this world. You were never a lady. You're just a stupid child who believed in princesses and diamond mines. Didn't you believe in them too? They're nothing but fairy tales. There is no place for dreamers in this world, and that means you. There is no place for you. Lavinia took a deep breath, calming herself, and sank back into her chair. She sat, hands on her lap, back perfectly straight, the picture of poise, and spoke. Get out. Yes, miss. Carrying the washer with her, Sarah left the room. Whatever Lavinia had wanted from her, she hadn't got it. She hadn't gotten it. New trick discovered. Dying in a ditch. Only recommended for the best and most perfect like Lavinia. Damn, babe. Have any rat facts? Rats have very sensitive sinuses, so if you ever get a pet rat, you have to be very careful what kind of bedding you get. There's only 2 types of bedding that they can actually handle. The first one is like basically felt cloth is okay for their noses, and then there's a specific material that is okay for their noses. But the usual beddings that you would get for hamsters or guinea pigs and stuff like that, it won't work for rats because they have such weak respiratory systems. I think like pine and I forget the other one. Like pine is not a good thing. Ooh, a bee fact. Bees do a little dance to warn other bees that danger is near. Oh, that is cute. That's really cute. I like that fact. But yeah, I can't remember the specific, but like, rats, yeah, you have to be, if you ever decide to have pet rats, it's very important that you figure out what they can do, because again, they just have such sensitive noses. They need to be able to sit in a really cool, a little comfy place and make sure that they're not super sick and sneezy. One of the biggest causes for like rats to pass away is respiratory issues. Did it? I'm checking my screen real quick. If it did, it might have buffered for a second.
It's going for me.
Yeah, Mabel says it's going. Oh, what? Wait, was that enough? Did I do it? Did I do it? Yay! Okay, we did it. Cool. Alright, now we can do Lavinia. Sarah was on her hands and knees, scrubbing mud off the floor, when a familiar voice called out to her. You, scullery girl. You know my name. You're perfectly capable of using it when you think that it will make you sound more wise. But you are not wise. You call me a scullery girl because you would never recognize the value of a princess unless she were covered in diamonds. In the time that it took to think these things, Sarah had sucked in a breath of air and let it out again. This simple, calming act allowed her to reply to Lavinia without heat. Yes, miss? I require your services in my room at once. I am already working. Are you disobeying me? No, miss. At least Lavinia's voice was strident enough that Miss Minchin or Cook, if they were nearby, would be alerted that it was not Sarah's choice to abandon her duties. That was no guarantee of sympathy if she did not complete her task in time. If one or the other were in a foul mood, it would not matter how hard Sarah tried. She would always be at fault. It was only Sarah's pride and her innate desire to do the best that she could in any circumstances that drove... Oh. Buffer? Nope. Okay. Okay. I'll go back a little. At least Lavinia's voice was strident enough that Miss Minchin or Cook, if they were nearby, would be alerted that it was not Sarah's choice to abandon her duties. That was no guarantee of sympathy, as she did not complete her task in time. If one or the other were in a foul mood, "Hi, Thornmancer, welcome in!" It would not matter how hard Sarah tried. She would always be at fault. It was only Sarah's pride and her innate desire to do the best that she could in any circumstance that drove her on. She stood up, brushing her hands against the faded velvet of her skirt, and trying not to shake too much dust into the half-cleaned floor. Well, what are you waiting for? I didn't think you like it when I walked at the head of the line. For a moment, Lavinia's cheeks puffed out like a squirrel's. Perhaps because such an expression was unladylike, she soon replaced it with a smile. Of course. Follow me. Lavinia's room did not appear particularly in need of care. The coals had not been overturned, the curtains had not been torn down. It was no more disorderly than any other girl's. Lavinia raised her head, looking down along her nose at Sarah. Okay, alright, I'm gonna keep going. It seems like it's fine. Lavinia raised her head, looking down along her nose at Sarah. My bed is uncomfortable. I am having trouble sleeping. I want you to fix it. What's wrong with it? How should I know? I am not a servant. Sarah looked carefully at the surface of Lavinia's bed, in case some hidden danger lay concealed beneath the quilt. No obvious lumps. She ran her hand across it and felt nothing unusual. I don't see anything wrong. Try harder. Or have you forgotten what a bed is supposed to feel like? I suppose this is as close as you get to one these days. Sarah pushed her hand against the mattress. It felt firm but yielding, certainly far more comfortable than the worn-out pad that served for her own bed. Nothing seemed wrong. Perhaps your pillows need fluffing? Oh, have you not been tending my pillows properly? That could be the problem. You won't even lift a finger, will you? Irritated by Lavinia's demanding presence, in a hurry to return to her own chores, Sarah seized the nearest pillow without a further thought and began to crush and beat it. She did not sense the trap until a spray of feathers burst onto the floor. "Oh no! You clumsy oaf! You've ruined it!" Her teeth closed together in a fierce grin. "You have ruined my pillow! You've made a terrible mess in my room!" I'm sorry. That's not good enough. You will have to pay for what you've done. Give me your doll and I will forgive you." Emily? Again? I won't. Do you want me to tell Miss Minchin what you've done? She'll box your ears. Fine. Tell her. I still won't give you Emily. Lavinia snatched the pillow from Sarah's arms, heedless of the traces of feathers fluttering around them. That was a weird second sentence. Also, yeah, she really sucks. Like I said, you're not gonna like her. Lavinia snatched the pillow from Sarah's arms, heedless of the traces of down fluttering around them. Then you will have to pay me some other way. You will be my slave. You will serve me, morning and night. Doing what? Doing whatever I say, all night long if I say you have to. Or else, give me your doll. You don't need a doll. Servants don't need dolls. It was too strange. There seemed no purpose to Lavinia. Oh, is it? Okay. Alright. It was too strange. There seemed no purpose to Lavinia's actions. Nothing but cruelty. Why do you hate me so much? Why? Why? She thrust the pillow into Sarah's face, knocking her back onto the bed. You ruined everything. You stole my place. You took away my rights. You made me a laughingstock. You threatened my family. Sarah shoved the torn pillow off her face so that she could see. How could I have done anything to your family? Your ridiculous diamonds! But your family didn't have anything to do with... In a flash she saw it. Lavinia had been frightfully jealous of Sarah after the announcement of the diamond mines, after her place as Miss Minchin's favorite had been well and truly lost. She would not have accepted that meekly. She would have fought, tooth and claw, to reclaim her superiority. You wrote to your father, didn't you? You tried to get him to invest in diamonds. My father is far too intelligent to be swayed by the fantasies of a silly little girl. Fantasies? That's all they were. Your father must have been as stupid as you are. He believed everything. Sarah caught her breath, tears pricking at her eyes. She rose from the bed. My papa was the kindest, most generous father in all the world. And if he believed in fantasies, then that is because fantasies are good and important. My father is a respectable gentleman who understands business and would not lose his head to childish nonsense. My papa listened to me. Does yours? Sarah felt the blow before she heard it. Once again she was sent sprawling back across Lavinia's bed. Lavinia loomed overhead, her face pale and strained, and her voice rumbled uncertainly as she spoke. You are a curse, but you will not destroy me. I am stronger than you. Sarah rolled off the bed, out of Lavinia's reach. Keeping her eyes on the older girl, she began to inch her way towards the door. Lavinia looked around at the scattered feathers and increased disarray as if unsure how it all had happened. You still owe me. Look what you've done. You owe me. I will clean your room later, when you are feeling better. You had better not tell any tales about this. Sarah shook her head slowly. Who would I tell? With that, she made her escape. Even if she is a bitch, I could at least make her a compelling bitch with my voice acting, but that's about it. I can't change anything else. Alright, let's go. But yeah, it is gonna feel awesome. I'm so excited for you, Alex. I can't wait. I hope you get your name soon. After the curious passion of their last encounter, Sarah made a special effort to avoid being alone with Lavinia. When possible, she traded tasks with Becky. If not, she let tasks in that room wait until Lavinia was not present, even if it meant risking a scolding from Miss Minchin. Miss Minchin's anger was familiar and predictable. Lavinia's was not. I don't understand what she wants. Avoiding Lavinia had, for some time, been strangely easy. Where she was spending her time, Sarah did not know, but it was not in her room, and not harassing Sarah. Perhaps she wishes to keep her distance as well. Lavinia always wanted to be the perfect lady. It can't be ladylike to act the way she did. That's why she didn't want me to tell anyone. But that respite could not last forever. The next summons came quite unexpectedly. Sarah, could you please come in here for a moment? Please. It must be some manner of trick, and yet it would not be polite to refuse. Hesitant as a doe approaching a groundskeeper, Sarah walked into Lavinia's room. It looks like it's buffering for a second, so I'm gonna give it a moment. Oh, no. Okay, it's going again. Lavinia sat at her desk, straight-backed, and did not turn to face her. I should like you to brush out my hair. Slowly, please. Be gentle. Sarah picked up the silver-backed brush, feeling its smooth whorls warm against her skin, and stared at the back of Lavinia's head. It would be so easy, so very easy to strike her, or at least to tug harshly at her hair, to catch at every tangle and yank her prissy head out of line. A princess would not do such things. I'm gonna go back a little. Do I need to go back at all and read back a few things? I'm so sorry for the... Okay. I'm just gonna go back to, hesitant as a doe approaching a groundskeeper, Sarah walked into Lavinia's room. Lavinia sat at her desk, straight-backed, and did not turn to face her. I should like you to brush out my hair. Slowly, please. Be gentle. Sarah picked up the silver-backed brush, feeling its smooth whorls warm against her skin, and stared at the back of Lavinia's head. It would be easy, so very easy, to strike her, or at least to tug harshly at her hair, to catch at every tangle, and yank her prissy head out of line. A princess would not do such things. She took up the brush and began to perform as requested. Ah, I was correct. I can trust you. You're quite good at that, you know. You might make a lady's maid one day. Thank you. You have experience, after all. I'm sure your own maid must have brushed your hair like this. What was her name? Mariette. Yes. You think I'm horrible, don't you? Sarah did not answer. Of course, it doesn't matter what you think. You're beneath me now. Your opinion is irrelevant, even to you. You must do as you are told. doesn't matter what you think of me. It only matters what I think of myself. But no, I can be generous. You are a girl of good breeding, fallen on hard times. It is a tragic circumstance, deserving of pity. How could any true English rose look upon you and not feel moved? And thus, it behooves me to aid you. Aid me. Of course, though there is little I could do at the moment while I am only a schoolgirl. But perhaps, some day, when I have my own household, I could make you my maid. You would live with me, under my roof, in my care. Isn't that generous? Sarah's fingers clenched hard around the handle of the brush. Miss Minchin said almost the same thing to me once. She brought me the black news, and cast Mariette out, and took away my books and my clothing, and sent me to the attics, and then asked me to thank her for her kindness. Lavinia made a little sound in the back of her throat, which might have been a muffled laugh. If she giggles at me, I will pull her hair out. I will. But no further laughter emerged. I can be much kinder than Miss Minchin, when I choose to be. Here, Sarah, put that brush down. Come and sit on my bed. Lavinia took Sarah's hand in hers, not even commenting on the dirt. You must know that Miss Minchin will never reward your loyalty, no matter how much of it you give. You aren't important to her. She will use you as long as it is convenient, and abandon you when it isn't. She never liked you anyway, not since that day you showed her up at French lessons. Si amusant. But I find you interesting. I could be good to you, if you are good to me. I always feel that she wants something from me, but I never know what it is. Perhaps higher even than a lady's maid. I could keep you as my official companion. Doesn't that sound like a familiar thing she once said to another character in a previous route? Didn't she promise Jessie in Jessie's route that she could be her companion? But it doesn't matter because we're the love interest, so she actually gonna keep her promise, unlike Jessie. Possibly. If you are looking for a companion, I think Jessie would be a better choice. Lavinia dropped her hand. Jessie thinks nothing but what people tell her to think. What do I care for Jessie? Then what reward is there for Jessie's loyalty? Lavinia's mouth fell open, but she said not a word. Fearing an outburst, Sarah stood and moved away. If that's all you needed, then I will be going now. She left the room, followed only by silence. Damn, that's such a good point. What a way to shut her up. And in such like a respectable but also very like, well, if you don't even care about Jessie, then what does her loyalty get out of this, and how is it any better than mine? Okay, we can keep doing Lavinia. Okay. There you are. What? Thought you could stay in bed all day? Sarah rubbed her arms, trying to warm them and chase the fog of sleep from her eyes. The sun isn't even up yet. The sun has more right to be lazy than you do. One of them young ladies wants her breakfast delivered to her room, so get to it. It went without saying that Sarah had not herself eaten breakfast, that she would not have time to snatch even a bite while preparing the meal, that the task might keep her out until all food was cleaned away. Could not be helped. Sarah prepared the heavy tray, heaped with toast and eggs and fruits and kippers, and carried it up to Lavinia's room. The door was unhelpfully shut. I should have had Becky come up with me to knock. She did not dare attempt to balance the tray one-handed, and calling through the door would be vulgar. Careful not to disarrange the contents, she set the tray upon a hall table. That done, she knocked gently on the door. Yes, what is it? I've brought your breakfast. Oh, good. Please, bring it in once. Sarah opened the door, then turned back to pick up the tea tray again. Inside, Lavinia was seated like a queen upon her bed, her back supported by a nest of pillows. Set the tray upon my desk, and be quick about it. I have been waiting, you know. Yes, Miss Herbert. Yeah, this event is familiar, because it's the same one in Jessie, although it had a much different outcome. At least she got through the door this time. Miss Herbert, and just think, not so very long ago, your Mariette would have done the same for you. Don't do the thing. Don't do the thing. Yes, Miss Herbert. Miss Herbert, and just think, not so very long ago, your Mariette would have done the same for you. No one brings you breakfast anymore, do they, Sarah? No. Perhaps we should call you Mariette, or Marionette, a poor pitiful puppet who dances for anyone who pulls your strings. Sarah took a deep breath, reminding herself that she was a princess, and a princess should not respond to such taunts. Not at all suitable for a lady's companion. I can't imagine what I was thinking. Well, I am certain I will find someone more appropriate in the future. I'm sure you will. If you are pleased, then I will go. Wait! She sat up in a smooth motion, her eyes never leaving Sarah's, her head sliding in like that of a dancing cobra. All right, bye, Alex. See you later. Have you eaten today? No. Then please, sit. Share my meal. What? I ordered enough for two. Go ahead. It's safe. You made it yourself, didn't you? There's no trick. Unless you were trying to poison me in the kitchen. Of course not. Go on, then. Enjoy it. She moved closer that she could reach the food from the side of the bed where she sat. Unable to muster any objection, Sarah pulled out the chair, sat down, and picked up a piece of toast. She looked over at Lavinia, quickly, in case the other girl would suddenly object or throw juice on her face. Nothing. Cautiously, Sarah bit a corner of the toast. Oh, Mabel, are you up for doing a crab fact? Yeah, Mabel's gonna do a crab fact. You can do better than that. Look at you, you're far too thin for a girl. Put some kippers on that, or at least some eggs. Lavinia spooned the soft scrambled eggs onto her own toast and ate with gusto. Does she truly mean to be kind to me? It had been a long time since Sarah had been so rich a meal, and her nerves would not quite let her enjoy it any more than a doe could graze without care in the presence of a tiger. But she was a little girl, long deprived, and it was food, and it was available. She ate. After she finished her toast, Lavinia smiled at Sarah and licked her lips. You see, I can be generous, and you should work harder at your duties. Take this back to the kitchen and be quick about it. Don't you know that I need to dress for class? Yes, Miss Herbert. Do you pity me or despise me? I wish that you would say it clearly. But yeah. Hey! Hey, Mikey! Welcome it! I got burpy for a second, but thank you. Okay. But yeah, these are really fun, and I love doing them. Especially with games I love. And this is one of my favorite games, actually. Just don't let Lavinia's terrible route dissuade you from what a really great game this is. There are a lot more enjoyable characters. Lavinia was out of her rooms that day, a circumstance about which Sarah was not sure whether to be pleased or dismayed. She can be kind when she chooses to be. The other girls sometimes give me such pitying looks, but they have never lifted a hand to aid me. Sarah remembered all too well how little treats had cost when she was a schoolgirl with pocket money. She remembered how many clothes she had owned, far more than she needed. Any one of the students at Miss Minchin's Select Seminary could have reached out to Sarah and made her life a little easier, just as she had once done for Becky. But they did not. Not because they were hateful, they were only young girls. They did not consider Sarah's needs. They found her circumstances uncomfortable. If they noticed them at all, they looked away. I am gonna get a quick food, so please. Alright, sorry about that. I finished now. I can get back to game. Many species of crabs are cannibalistic, but this is a trait that many scavengers have. However, crabs in particular will often even hunt their own kind. In the end, this is still considered less rude than Lavinia breathing. I love you. You hate this child. Can I make one weird thing at the end when this is all done? Not weird thing, but I have a thing that I realized, like, there's one reason that Lavinia's route is slightly more acceptable than Mariette's. Lavinia is a child and Mariette is an adult.
I mean, it's not like Mariette is trying to date you.
Yes, no, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying, like, her cruelty kind of came from, like, less... Yeah, childish ignorance, where Mariette kind of knew better. So, that's like the one thing Lavinia actually has going. Okay. Because, you know, children can change. You've met people who were, like, really bad when they were younger, and they've turned out alright. You've also met really bad people who are still really bad. But you have, I think you did tell me, like, there was a person you knew, that you and Mikey mentioned were, like, they were kind of a jerk in school and stuff, but then, like, after they became pretty chill.
I can't remember who you're talking about, but I definitely have had people like that.
Yeah, so. Okay. Only Lavinia thinks about me enough to offer assistance, and only Lavinia thinks about me enough to be deliberately cruel. Okay, Sarah, like, we don't need the Stockholm Syndrome, girl. You're better than that. Would I be any better off as her servant, rather than Miss Minchin's? She moved around the room, picking up discarded items, straightening furniture, checking that the mended seam in the feathered pillow had not come undone. Yeah, that's fair. Each student at Miss Minchin's had a simple trinket box for their own small treasures. Most kept one or two pieces of jewelry inside. Some added a pretty rock, or a dried flower, or a seashell. That day, Lavinia's trinket box was out of place, pushed back against the wall. She must have fallen against her dresser this morning and jarred it loose. I hope nothing has spilled and become lost. Ever conscientious, Sarah went to her hands and knees on the carpet by the bed and looked underneath it. She could see nothing out of place. However, if something had fallen behind the dresser, she would first have to move that before she could see or reach any lost item. The dresser was large and heavy, and the mirror on top fragile. She would have to be careful. Sarah took hold of the sides and pulled, her thin arms straining. After a moment, the dresser shifted away from the wall, just enough to look. Yeah, that's very fair. I haven't met too many people like that, thankfully. I have met people in my life that I'm not very fond of. But I tend to be a very forgiving person. Mabel knows some of the things I've forgiven, but I'm also Larry. It's weird. There are people I really don't want to hang out. I like to say I don't want to party with you, which is my nicer way than saying, like, oh, you know how some people say, like, you should die, and I don't feel comfortable saying. So I'm like, my thing is just like, I don't want to party with you. You seem like somebody who's not fun to party with, and you're not invited. Yeah, you're not invited to my party. That's my nicer way of saying when I don't enjoy a person's company. But I tend to be more forgiving, but I don't know. I'm weird. But I totally understand people who cannot be forgiven and definitely who are just absolutely terrible. So, don't want to ever seem like I'm trying to be devil's advocate or an apologist for some abusive person or anything. Okay. Sarah took hold of the side. I mean, I probably wouldn't be polite. I probably would just ignore them. That would be my thing. I just wouldn't engage with them. I don't like to fight. I'm not a very screamy person. I guess. Yeah, I still have complex feelings about a person who wasn't so great to me, and I still care about her, but meanwhile, Mabel's very much like not about that, so it's hard. I tend to be more. That's where I become more forgiving. Um, but that's a story for a different time. Sarah took hold of the sides and pulled, her thin arms straining. After a moment, the dresser shifted away from the wall, just enough to look. Ah! Her effort was rewarded. There was a bit of loose jewelry down there, swathed in dust. Lavinia herself would have had trouble reaching it easy if she had known it to be present, but Sarah's thin fingers now fit easily into small spaces. She pulled the glinting object free. It was a small oval locket, engraved with the twining leaf pattern around the edges on a fragile gold chain. The chain was not long. It must have been meant for a young child's neck. How long was this lying behind the dresser? Does it belong to Lavinia at all? The dust suggested that no one had moved that dresser in years. The locket might belong to a former pupil, now grown. As she turned the rounded pendant over in her hands, the well-worn catch came loose on its own accord. How long was this lying behind the dresser? Does it belong to Lavinia at all? The dust suggested that no one had moved that dresser in years. The locket might belong to a former pupil, now grown. As she turned the rounded pendant over in her hands, the well-worn catch came loose for its own accord, falling open atop Sarah's palm and burying its contents. Oh! The locket did not contain a portrait of young Lavinia, nor that of any child at all. It was the picture of a woman whose long black hair and dusky skin instantly brought back memories of hot summer breezes and the smell of red clay. An Indian woman? Lavinia's Aya? It's not a common picture to keep in a locket, especially if Lavinia says she does not remember life in India. It is curious how much this woman resembles Lavinia. Oh my! She might, at that point, have been able to replace the locket and leave the room with no one the wiser. It had been lost for some time, and there was no reason for Lavinia to notice it had been disturbed. But Sarah was not afraid. Her heart was filled with excitement at her discovery, at the sense of kinship it evoked between her and her former fellow. Life. She forgot, for a moment, all that had changed between them. All that she wanted was to sit with Lavinia and talk about India. I'm sure that conversation will go great, Sarah. That was why she sat on the bed and waited for Lavinia to return. Sarah, what are you... At the sight of the locket in Sarah's hands, Lavinia's face took on a disturbing hue of olive. Sarah, still innocently gazing at the portrait, did not notice. Is this your mother? She's very beautiful. I didn't realize you were of Indian ancestry. I am not! And now Sarah looked up. Seeing the expression of strangling rage, she instinctively shrank back against the pillows. I am English! English! With each shout, she stepped closer. Her shaking hands curled into claws, but the points were aimed backwards, threatening only herself. I am not dirty. I am a pure English girl from a good family. I don't even remember India. I never called you dirty. It's rubbish, all of it. I'm a good girl. That's why my father sent me here. A good English girl. That's why they never visit, so I won't be mocked. She slammed her hands down onto the bed, trapping Sarah in place, and began to crawl forward with murder in her eyes. How dare you call me half? Lavinia, stop it! For a moment, everything froze. Lavinia was crouched over Sarah like a stalking cat, her eyes wild, her hair hanging down around her face. Her breath came in harsh gasps. Fear sat like a sharp stone in Sarah's chest. Nothing in her life had prepared her for this reaction. She could neither speak nor move. Lavinia. Lavinia's shoulders trembled. I am dirty. Tears burst forth in a noisy wave. There was nothing beautiful about her face as she sobbed. Lavinia, there's nothing wrong with... You're not dirty. You can't tell anyone. I have to hide it. No one can know. I am an English girl. I would be cast out. Outcast. Half-caste. Mariette was a mixed race and no one objected to her. Mariette Dumas was a servant. I am a lady. No gentleman would marry. My mother had some mixed blood. What? Your mother was French. So was Mariette. I never knew my mother, but she might have looked just a little like you. And my father thought she was beautiful. Hazarding a smile, she held up the locket. You don't have to be ashamed. Lavinia snatched the necklace from her hand and threw it against the wall. Your father is dead, and you are a beggar. Worthless, disgusting. I want nothing to do with you. Very well. She swung her feet down from the bed to stand, and Lavinia seized her arm. Don't go! Please, you can't. You mustn't tell anyone. Promise me. I'll kill you if you tell.
Jeez.
Sarah looked into those frantic eyes and could no longer find it in herself to be afraid. All that she felt for Lavinia was pity. You never understood me. You never knew, in your heart, how to be a lady, or a princess. Of course I will not gossip about your mother. That would be vulgar. Again she moved, and Lavinia clutched at her. Don't leave me! I have work to do, don't you remember? I am a servant. At last Lavinia's grip relented, and Sarah climbed to her feet. I am sorry for you. We might have been friends. With that, she left Lavinia alone with her tears. What's going on? I thought I heard yelling. Sarah walked straight past her without speaking. Let Lavinia explain if she wants. It doesn't concern me. Yeah, so she's not an orphan. At least Lavinia's not. Sarah is, but we already knew that. She's half race, mixed race. And she's ashamed of it. And I believe definitely in that time, I mean, just like red hair was considered a sinful thing, I'm pretty sure somebody being mixed race was not well looked upon in that time. And even sometimes in today's society, I've heard people who are mixed race say that it can be kind of a struggle to be mixed because they feel like they don't belong to either society. They're not enough of one race or the other to feel like they fit in among a community. I know my ex, Leah, sort of used to talk about that a bit. I don't remember if she felt that way, but she did used to talk about how it could feel like that when your parents are mixed race. So that's sort of what's going on with Lavinia's deal. It doesn't excuse anything that she's done, but that's sort of her reason for being so particular about a thing and wanting to be so perfect and yeah. Seems her parents also don't at least her father, I don't know if her mother's still alive. I think she's still alive. If her mother, they don't explain, but all I know is her father doesn't really listen to her or respect her. It could also be that she has a mother, but her mother's no longer in her life. Oh, Creole. Nice. Awesome. So that's the idea. I believe it's possible that her father does not engage with her mother anymore, or the mother is dead, which could also cause shame if people find out that Lavinia is half raced. I don't know what the opposite of a bastard is, but that could be it. Lavinia might be the opposite of a bastard. Oh. I thought bastard was just not having a father. No, it is just illegitimate. Well, that could have been. Her mother might have been illegitimate. They don't really go into too much detail about her mother. I'm just white. I'm like mixed with like white races, but I'm just a white girl. I don't have anything going on. I try to be as respectful and understanding though. With I know I have fuck. What's the word? Why can't I not think of the word? I know I have privilege. Thank you, babe. I know I have definitely privilege. Even being female and a lesbian, I definitely have privilege than other people do, and I'm aware, and I try to be respectful of that and open and understanding. So if I ever, that's why I always say, if I ever make a mistake, please feel free to correct me, because I am not very knowledgeable. I don't know everything about certain things, so apologies. But yeah, no, I have just a lot of European mixed in me is the idea, but nothing like, I'm a European mutt, and I was born in America, so it's just a big blob of white. The cold of a long London night was a terror far removed from the provinces of India. If she were not sent out in the day, Sarah could wear stockings in bed to try and preserve some warmth in her toes. Too often, however, all that she owned were soaked or muddy. Shivering, she tucked the blanket more firmly under herself and waited for her own body warmth to build. Then, quietly, there came a rap at the door. Becky? She rose from her bed to see what was the matter. Lavinia? The older girl stood, candle in hand, breathing quickly from the uncommon exertion of mounting so many stairs. Sarah, please, come to my room. My duties are finished for the day. I need to sleep. And if you wake Miss Minchin to complain that I won't obey you, she'll scold you as much as me. That isn't the reason. I don't want you to work for me. I have things to give you. Lavinia lifted up onto her toes, trying to peer past Sarah's head into the attic room, but the flickering circle of candlelight blinded her to all but what was directly in front of her. It's very cold up here, isn't it? My room is much warmer. Please, won't you come with me? Would it make me a bad person to refuse her when she keeps saying please? No, not really, Sarah. Honestly, you wouldn't have to. Fucking this day and age where everyone's like, well, they said please. That's the most polite somebody can be. I guess I can't turn that down. Fucking 1800s bullshit. Alright. They walked together through the dark seminary halls. Did you hear that? What? Like a door. Closing. I think you have imagined it. You always were so very good at pretending things, and these halls are somewhat frightening in the dark. It would be easy to mistake a coat rack for some disturbing revenant, crowned with thorns. She has brought me here for a jest to try and frighten me, but no dark shape awaited them in Lavinia's room. Do you see? I bought some cakes for us to share. I have drinks as well. I should have liked to have tea with you, but there was no way to manage it without forcing you to make it yourself. But here, in the dark, isn't it special? The cakes looked most appetizing, but Sarah was weary, and her heart no longer easy to trust. Why are you doing this, Lavinia? You don't call me Miss Herbert any more. No, I don't. That's all right. You don't have to. What? Please, sit down. Have some ginger cake and the soda water. It is meant to be very healthful. I want you to be well. Mystified, Sarah took a seat and accepted the bottle that Lavinia handed her. The glass vial had a rounded bottom, so once the cork was removed from the neck, she could not set it down until it was empty. It was late, but there were never any days in which Cook provided her so much food that a snack could be unappealing. Still, the question lingered. Why are you doing this? Because I am lonely. You are the only person who I have no reason to be afraid of anymore. You have already seen the worst of me. And you make a better companion. A better confidant than Tybalt, the cat. So you see me as a pet. If I wanted a pet, I would keep Jessie. Lavinia laid her hand on Sarah's knee, a hand with clean, gently buffed nails and fingers that had never known hard labor. We understand each other, don't we? We are two of a kind. You are the truest friend that I have ever known. If that were true, what a pitiful thought. For we are not friends at all. Outside these walls, in society, I must fit myself to their mold if I am to succeed. There is no one else whom I can talk to, unvarnished, about books, or bones, or blood. No gentleman would have me if they knew all the thoughts in my head, if he knew my secrets. I refuse to end up like me. Yes, and I do not wish to see you languish here either. I want you for my companion, Sarah, as I said before. Miss Minchin despises you. She will use you until you are dry. And you won't? Aren't you going to eat your cake? I am eating it. The cake was rich and sticky and delicious, with a hint of orange to accompany the ginger. The soda water was fizzy and strange, but not unwholesome. There was nothing wrong with the food. I want to take care of you, to save you. You can't take me away. You don't have a household. When we're older, then. But there are things I can do for you now. Yes. Thank you for the food. She set the empty bottle on the desk surface, placed carefully so that it would not roll. I should return to my room now. But it's so cold up there. Why don't you sleep in my bed? What? There is plenty of room for two, and I won't tell. I promise. It is warm and soft. But I'm dirty. My feet. If you're with me, I don't care about being dirty. It was too much. Food, a sympathetic shoulder, a warm bed. Sarah could not refuse. Lavinia blew out her candle. They crawled into the bed together, and for the first time in months, Sarah felt herself cradled in comfort. There was more than enough room for two tired little girls to lie side by side without touching, and yet Sarah felt fingertips brush against her arm. Sarah? What is it? Is this all right? It's fine. I'm tired. I'm sorry. Sarah thought at first that Lavinia was apologizing for keeping her from her well-deserved sleep, but then, I'm sorry I tried to take your doll away. In the darkness she could not see Lavinia's face, but her words, for once, sounded sincere. Why did you want Emily? Because she was yours. Because if I could make you give in, that would prove that I was... What? Better than you. I'm not better than you. I know that. I'm no princess. It was the most vulnerable thing that Sarah had ever heard her say. Lavinia. Impulsively, she caught the other girl's hand in hers and squeezed. Any girl can be a princess, if she tries to be. Even you. Sarah considered Lavinia's startled laughter to be a quite melodious sound. Sarah Crew, you really are unique. The bedsheets rustled as Lavinia rolled closer. Sarah fancied that she could feel that warm breath tickling her nose. Neither of them expected the bedroom door to be opened from the outside. Sarah Crewe, what is the meaning of this outrage? Miss Minchin. She leapt from the bed at once, striking the chair and stumbling in her haste. Did Lavinia arrange this? Was it all a trick? It can't have been. You wicked! No! Miss Minchin, please! Lavinia climbed to her feet, holding out a protective arm. It was my idea! She truly is defending me, just as I would have defended another. With that spark of report kindled in her heart, it was easy for Sarah to hear the intent behind Lavinia's next posturing words. I pitied her. She was respectable once. I wanted to perform a charitable act. I see. Your generosity and kindness are admirable. Sarah could not see Miss Minchin's face clearly, but the sweetness of her words was strained. However, too much softness disrupts an orderly household. There are worthier ways to give. Come along, Sarah. But You may not keep a scullery girl in your room. It is improper. Your father would not approve. My father would have approved of kindness. And look what a mess you've made of your hair. You look like a little savage. At those words, Lavinia's resolve flagged. Her arm fell, limp, to her side, and Sarah was exposed to Miss Minchin's reach. Sarah, come here, now. Yes, Miss Minchin. Once they were out of Lavinia's sight, Miss Minchin shoved Sarah's head roughly forward. Get to your rooms at once. Do you think I have time to chase after you girls all night? Her voice was low but harsh. You've already disrupted Miss Abbott's sleep. I won't have the entire house out of their beds. Jessie. Another push forced her to keep moving. At the attic door, Sarah stumbled inside to get away from those hands. All right, good night, Devin. Thank you for tuning in as long as you did. Do not think that Miss Herbert's foolish fondness will grant you any extra privileges. Young ladies have their whims, but you are only a servant. Tonight the hour is late, but if I catch you overstepping your bounds again, you will be punished. Do you understand me? Yes, Miss Minchin. Is that what Becky faced in the past, when I tried to be kind to her? See that you do not forget it. The steady clacking of her heels moved down the stairs, leaving Sarah once again alone in the cold dark. The clouds had parted, and moonlight gleamed from Emily's watchful eyes. Silently, Sarah padded across the floor and slipped into the unyielding embrace of her bed. She could not help but compare it with those too few moments, soft and stolen, by Lavinia's side. For just a moment I thought she was almost. But it is too late. If Miss Minchin catches me with Lavinia, she will punish me. I'm so tired of being punished. I'm so tired. Alright, it's Lavinia's turn. Alright, Sarah was crouched down, cleaning a smudge off the wainscot when Lavinia's voice lashed out at her. Sarah, where have you been? Sarah did not lift her head to give the other girl attention. I have to work. You've been avoiding me again. I'm very busy. How can you be too busy to see me? I'm a student here. You have to come when I call. You have to obey me. I have to obey Miss Minchin first. I'm not telling you stop doing your chores. Just to visit me, too. I'll help you, like I did before. Pay attention to me. You aren't even looking at me. I thought you cared. Sarah pressed her hand against the wall for support. She took in a breath and let it out with a great huff. Don't you recall how scornful you were of me for spending time with Becky when I was still the parlor boarder? How you called Becky impertinent for overstepping her bounds? It's hardly the same thing. You were born. I am a servant. I am just the same as Becky. You're nothing like her. She's a girl from the poorhouse who can't even read. You are like me. We are all alike. All of us. Any one of us could have been born rich or poor, and it's chance. Pure chance if we were or weren't. And none of that matters to Miss Minchin. We live under her control and her rules. If we go against her orders, we will be punished. If you want to be a flawless English rose, you shouldn't be too familiar with the help. She turned and began to mount the stairs, leaving Lavinia with her mouth hanging open. Sarah thought that would be the end of it, that Lavinia, once rebuffed, would return to her old patterns. But after a moment's pause, her shoes rattled up the stairs. You're just making excuses! I can't. Look at me! I don't believe that you're avoiding me because of what's ladylike. You never cared about that. I told you Miss Minchin requires. You never minded what she thought before. Why are you lying to me? Aren't we friends, Sarah? If we were friends, then why, when I said I was busy, did you say that I had to obey you? Because you do! Sarah said nothing. I didn't mean it that way. I meant that you could always say that I ordered you, and you'd have to leave your chores and do what I said. Isn't that right? It doesn't make a difference. Miss Minchin will punish me all the same. Then tell me how I can help. I can't trust you. You offer me treasures with one hand and snatch them away with the other. Sarah, please, leave me alone. No! Don't walk away from me! Don't leave me! Sarah looked up at the older girl, looming so close. She was aware of how thin and fragile she had become in her months of suffering. In a battle of force, she would fare no better than a bird's wing under a cat's paw. Yet Sarah could not find fear in her heart. Beneath all the snarling and hissing, Lavinia was only another little girl, just the same as she was. What is it that you want? I want you to love me! Lavinia laid her hand alongside Sarah's cheek. She felt a curious shudder run down her back. You're the only one that matters. You're like me. You know everything about who I really am. And if you won't love me, then what else is there? The pain in those words knifed straight through Sarah's tender soul. Oh, Lavinia, do I love you? Could I love you? A whirlwind of memories paraded past Sarah's bruised heart. Lavinia, her classmate and almost friend, lecturing her on proper behavior, alternatively haughty, conspiratorial, and pleading. Lavinia, who had tortured and tormented her before weeping with self-loathing. You could be so much better than you are. You are intelligent. You can be charming. You're curious, inventive, daring. If you weren't always trying so hard to make yourself seem exemplary, if you were honest with your feelings. But you are being honest with me now, aren't you? Like the quick flash of light across a tittling mirror's surface, it struck her. I'm the one who's being cold. Not really. I mean... Cautiously, Sarah reached up. Her fingers brushed Lavinia's shoulder, and, closing her eyes, pulled the other girl against her into an embrace. It will be better someday. For both of us. What are you doing? Holding you. Sarah could hear Lavinia's pulse dancing inside her. The body that she held was stiff, arms still out at awkward angles. Has no one ever cuddled you before? It's all right. Put your arms around me. Sarah! Sarah Crew! Sarah's eyes snapped open to find an unwelcome hazard making its appearance. Unhand that young lady at once! No sooner had she relaxed her hold on Lavinia than Miss Minchin grabbed Sarah by the arm and flung her bodily against the wall. What? Miss Hubbard, go to your room. I will speak to you presently. As for you, she aimed her scorn at Sarah, who was now staggering to her feet. Come with me. Miss Minchin marched Sarah up the stairs to her attic, pausing only to pick up a small item. All the fear that Sarah had not felt in her encounter with Lavinia came washing back over her now. Her legs shook as they mounted the stairs. What else could I have done? What else could I have done? Inside the dingy gaiter, Miss Minchin lifted her head and sneered down upon her unfortunate charge. Apparently you require a stronger lesson. Hold out your left hand and keep it still. Do not squirm, or this will be worse. Obediently, Sarah offered her palm. Thwack! The cane swung down in a blur, burning a line across Sarah's hand. The pain followed in a terrible flash, as if her hand had been cut to the bone. She cried out, her knees folding under her, but Miss Minchin caught her by the wrist. Once more, I think. And so, Sarah was forced to hold out her other hand for a second blow. It was no easier to take a second stroke. It was worse, knowing what to expect. Her whole body convulsed with the shock of it. She could see her hands in front of her, see that the skin was not broken, not bleeding, but the knowledge did not make the pain any less. That should give you something to remember. I will not have you working your sly ways among the upstanding young ladies of this establishment. You are worth less than dust to them. Do you understand? You should not even be in their sight. Perform your duties and keep to your own kind. Sarah held her fiery, throbbing hands in front of her. She did not trust herself to meet Miss Minchin's eyes. What was there for her to say? That it was Lavinia who had sought her out? Who had demanded her attention? It clearly made no difference. Whatever happens, it will always be seen as my fault. If Miss Minchin beats me to death, even that she will call my fault. You are quiet. Good. Let this be the last time we have this conversation. If you will not obey, then you will not be permitted to remain. Miss Minchin folded her arms, tucking the cane away. As you will not be able to complete today's task, you will have no food tonight or tomorrow. It was this last petty cruelty which cracked Sarah's resolve. Her legs buckled, and she collapsed to the floor, her marked hands cupped uselessly on her knees. Tears, hot as pain, swelled in her eyes, blurring her vision so that she did not even see Miss Minchin leave the room. They will tear me in two. Both of them, Lavinia and Miss Minchin. They will take and take until there is nothing left. Nothing I can do will ever be enough. Silent and alone, she rocked back and forth on the cold attic floor. What am I to do? What is there to do? Oh, Papa, why did you have to die? Yeah. This one feels definitely the worst. Like, the other ones were terrible, but this one, like, hurt the most. Miss Minchin was like, I don't know. That just, the first time I saw it, I was like, holy crap. Yeah. Lavinia's not a good route. Even feeling... even knowing the fears of society, like, Jessie had some of the same stuff, and she wasn't nearly this terrible. And again, if we're going Mariette, like, Mariette was cold, and that didn't make any sense because she was an adult, and I could at least say Lavinia is a child. But I'll also say in defense of Mariette, Mariette was a servant who spent most of her life already in pain. Like, she was a slave the moment she was sold. She was sold by her family to basically be somebody's slave. So I could see more of her, like, reason of, like, her being cold and standoffish. Lavinia doesn't really have a reason, and in every other story she's the villain, and in this one she's also kind of the villain. It's also implied that, like, they would have not got caught if Jessie didn't tell Miss Minchin. So that's what I meant when I said Jessie kind of has to play the bad guy in this one. But all she really does is just tell Miss Minchin what happened. Which, I don't know why she would do that other than she was probably jealous. So, not great, but Lavinia still does more damage in her own route than Jessie being the villain. Okay. Anyway, let's finish it up. We're at the end. We're at the epilogue. There was a great bustling around the front of Miss Minchin's Select Seminary, as all of Sarah's belongings, and Becky's as well, were removed and carried out to the house next door. The proprietress herself could do nothing but stand and fume to have had such a chance, and let it slip from her fingers. The girls were abuzz with whispers and rumors. Those who had been friends, like kind, dependable Ermengarde, came forward to wish Sarah good fortune on her travels. Others hid themselves away in shame at their own past behavior, or charged him for not keeping up a connection which might now prove to be valuable. As for that most dear and difficult of relationships, even now it failed to fall into a predictable pattern. Lavinia stood near the doors, seemingly untroubled by all the going-ons. How things do change! What do you mean? Look at yourself, Sarah Crewe. First you were my protégée, and then, with a stroke of fate, you became an heiress, Miss Minchin's favorite, the jewel in her crown. And just as quickly that crown was lost, and you were little better than a slave. And now you will be a princess again. One hardly knows what to expect on the morrow. Sarah had, by now, known Lavinia too long and too well to take those arch words for true feeling. She stepped closer, but the older girl bit her lip and looked away. You will become a princess and leave us. We are beneath you, now. No one ought to be beneath anyone else, especially not a friend. And anyone can be a princess. I think you can make a very good one. Lavinia made a tiny sound, more of a hiccup than a laugh, and wiped at her eyes. Just like that. Exactly so. Stop trying to be ordinary. Be extraordinary. A princess is a princess, even if she is in rags. She must be kind and noble and polite, generous to those around her, brave in the face of adversity. I could never be that perfect. No one is. Not all the time. But we must keep trying. I do really like the ending. I like this message. I think this was like, not this scene in particular, but I think that line, anyone can be a princess, and that speech that Sarah gives is in the book. And I do really like it. And if I do all that, do you think that you could love me? Oh, Lavinia, don't you know? I already do. You do? Of course. But how? Why?
Good question.
That is a very good question. Probably the why. It's Stockholm Syndrome. You know how people make jokes about Beauty and the Beast being like a case of Stockholm Syndrome, even though it's not, this actually feels a bit more like Stockholm Syndrome. Everyone deserves to be loved, even dolls and cats and dreadful people. At those words, in full sight of the school and Mr. Carrisford hired movers, Lavinia dissolved into noisy tears. Leave her alone! Jessie came running out of Miss Minchin's seminary, her hair flying behind her like a banner of war. Jessie! The fierce expression was all for Sarah. Just because you are a princess again, just because Lavinia can be difficult, that's no excuse for making her cry. While Lavinia blinked at this unexpected defense, Sarah laughed and caught both of their hands in hers. I forgive you for doing harm. Both of you. What harm did Jessie do? That is for Jessie to tell you. I think the both of you have been keeping many secrets that you need to share with each other. You must take care of each other now, when I've gone. Jessie looked up at Lavinia and smiled with shy hope. But will I ever see you again? Of course you will. I will write to you. We can arrange outings. The museums, the London Zoological Society, all sorts of things. It will be easier to be friends, intimate friends, once we are away from Miss Minchin's sight. Yes. Jessie's smile faded then, and she shifted away, preparing to disappear and leave them to their tender farewells. Wait! Jessie. Can Jessie come with us? She's your best friend, isn't she? She let go of their hands and stepped back. I must go, else I will keep saying goodbye until nightfall. Swiftly she kissed Lavinia's cheek, and Jessie's as well. Keep watch over Miss Minchin for me. Don't let her use her new scullery maids too harshly. You are her princesses now. Jessie and Lavinia looked at each other with new-born purpose, and Sarah's heart was glad. I was right, after all. The future will be better, for all of us. Paul, yeah. Put Jessie in the middle. Maybe she can make it manageable. Again, Lavinia's is the worst. I think the reason I liked her was because I do really like this ending. I do like this epilogue. But once more, with a lot of tsundere characters, they don't usually, when I play them, they don't make up. Even a good ending doesn't necessarily make up for all the shit that your character had to go through to get to that sweet moment. So Lavinia's is still, I would say, now that I'm replaying this game again, I think I would put Lavinia last or second last under Mariette. Only because Mariette is just kind of eh. I still don't have a big opinion about Mariette's. I don't exactly love Mariette's. I don't hate Mariette's. But it doesn't give me a lot of emotion. Lavinia's at least gives me something to go off of. I feel a deep anger, and I do really like the ending line and the speech that Sarah gives. And this is like, I think this is why I like Sarah so much as a character. I think I love Sarah as a character so much is because, again, she's such a nice character, and it's so, I mean, this might not be as common now, or this might have been common back when it was written, but I really like that she's a strong character, not because she's tough or because she can wield a sword. I like that she's strong because of her kindness and her optimism. I think somebody once said it's so hard. One of the like bravest things is to be optimistic, and I really do love that she's and she's not always optimistic. She's not always perfect, but she keeps being kind, and like she said, being kind to animals or people or horrible, nasty people.
Sarah deserves a gun.
Mabel again is on the other fence, but
No, I love Sarah.
yeah, Mabel thinks Sarah would be great with a gun, which fair. But I think the reason Sarah is one of my favorite protagonists in a book, both in the book and in this visual novel, because I played this visual novel first, and then this visual novel made me want to read the book, is her kindness and her ability to...
If you gave Sarah a gun, she'd probably just give it to Becky, and then Becky would kill everyone.
Fair. She just cares, you know? And I like that she cares despite the fact that she doesn't have to. And in some cases, she really shouldn't. I don't think Lavinia deserves all that love. Again, Lavinia is a child, and hopefully she can... I'm hoping after this she'll grow out of it. It's implied that she's gonna grow out of it and become better. And to sort of go into that, funny enough, out of all the characters, there is, if you go into extra, there is a bonus picture. And the bonus picture is entirely like its own thing. So I'm gonna click on it. And this is the bonus picture. And this is the only one that has an extra thing. So I don't know why her specifically, but Lavinia has the most art, I believe. Lavinia has the most art. I think she has 1, 2, 3, 4, and then with this one it's 5. I don't know why this is the special one. It is very cute. But why is it why was she given the bonus picture? Why not Becky? Why not Emmengard? Why not Jessie?
For attempts to communicate their relationship.
Yeah. I think this is supposed to be implied the future more. Because this is after she's all happy again. So once they become...
It's because otherwise you wouldn't be able to believe that they actually care about each other.
Yeah.
Physically show you.
Yeah. It is a cute drawing. But that's just because the art is cute. Thank you. Okay. My food is here. Part of me wants to eat. But part of me wants to fucking finish this game. So I'm gonna nibble. Oh yeah, I got chili cheese. Fuck.
They give us struggles.
They did not.